Okay, it's been a while since we've done a full-on rod review, and it's also been a while since I've come across a rod worthy of such treatment, but this one certainly does. The Megabass Destroyer P5 Mark 56. The last time I was this impressed with nearly every aspect of a rod was with the Steve's AGS 76 The One, and that came out 4 years ago. At 7'6", rated for 3/4 to 3.5 ounces, the Mark 56 weighs 5.15 ounce on my scale. It feels even lighter than that in hand, and this is what makes the rod truly special in my opinion. It's a small swimbait rod that fishes like a regular conventional bass rod. The length of the butt section is perfect, long enough to tuck against your body for leverage against a big fish, but short enough to clear your body while working a bait, pivoting at your hand like a short jerkbait rod would. With the 200 size Daiwa reel, it is very much neutrally balanced. Oh, fuck. So the two baits I used extensively with the Mark 56 were the DRT Tiny Clash, which weighs 2 ounces, and the Double H Mir Jr., which weighs about 1.25 ounces. I would say the sweet spot on this rod is between 1 and 2.5 ounces, and it really shines at dead walking either bait. The tip is so lively and reacts to the lightest inputs that you can get extremely finessey with these baits and walk them in place without much effort at all. And just a quick note, like many of my high-end rods, I bought the Mark 56 from Gary at the Tackle Trap. Some of you might know him from the largest bass fishing forums, where he's been dispensing JDM tackle knowledge and wisdom for over a decade. I could always count on Gary to give me honest and accurate info on whatever specific rod or reel I have in mind to purchase. And I think most people don't realize how rare that is in the tackle industry and media. I'll obviously leave links to the tackle trap down in the description. Okay, let's take a closer look at the Mark 56. Now you can obviously tell it's a Megabass rod just from its design, but in my opinion the P5 destroyers are rather understated compared to some previous Megabass lines. That machine aluminum lock nut is classic Megabass, as is the non-standard custom reel seat, which is the source of my only and very minor gripe with this rod. I'm okay with the cutouts, but I do wish the trigger was a little bit longer. But I guess you don't win design awards year after year by slapping on a Fuji reel seat, though I do think it will improve upon its ergonomics just a tiny bit. But like I said, it's a very minor gripe that doesn't cross my mind at all when actually fishing the rod. Now the guide train consists of all double-footed titanium SICs, A rather muted lavender thread wrap, very classy in my opinion, and perfectly executed throughout. The fit, finish, and build quality is of the highest standard, as you would expect from a rod priced at over $500 MSRP. Okay, now for a few casting demos, and I'm not the most technical caster, so please bear with me. Here I'm throwing the 2-ounce Tiny Clash, and the rod handles that without any issue. It's hard to describe, but the Mark 56 rebounds from your back cast with more force than any other rod I've used. And that force seems to carry through on the forward swing and just launch any baits under 3 ounces with no effort at all. Here I'm throwing the 4-ounce Clash 9, and it's obvious the rod doesn't like it. I've heard people say on YouTube that the Mark 56 is perfect for both the TK and K9, which I'm sorry to say is bullshit. The rod will lob a 4-ounce bait, but anything more than a lob and it's pins and needles waiting to see if the blank will explode. Conversely, I've thrown half-ounce jerkbaits on the Mark 56 without any issue whatsoever. Okay, different angle of the rod sending the 2-ounce Tiny Clash. And once again, just effortless distance with the Mark 56. By the way, I'm running straight 16-pound sniper on the Tatula 150 in most of these clips, and I'll leave links to everything down below. Now here, I'm actually throwing an oversized crankbait, the OSP Magnum Blitz MR, and I really wish we had more of a Magnum crankbait bite here in the Northeast, because this rod is perfect for it. Alas, this is the only fish I managed to catch on a 1.5 ounce crankbait, and sadly I have a full box of them at home. Here I'm dead walking the TK. Now watch the rod tip and how precisely it recovers from each twitch. I'm basically just swinging the weight of the rod, hitting the bait and giving it slack. Now I can tell you on some quote traditional swimbait rods, this is not the easy operation you see here. As I've mentioned, the Mark 56 fishes like a much smaller rod than what it's actually capable of throwing.
Oh, you finally got one, huh? Nice one! Wow, that's a whopper! Holy shit! You wanna weigh it? I got my scale.
I got it, thank you. There's also surprising power to this rod, and it loads up beautifully in a deep, smooth curve on any fish over 4 pounds or so. The taper is such that it gives you a lot of confidence putting big pressure on fish, even though you're using mostly baits with treble hooks. Now here's a classic scenario that worked out exactly as it should. I hiked 2 miles to fish this windblown bank, and a mudline formed right along it. I'm casting my TK a few feet beyond the edge of the mudline, hoping to bring it across a big bass sitting in the mud looking out towards the clear water. Instead, this happened. Oh shit. Holy shit. No, no, no. My first decent pike landed, and she was nice enough to let me keep my $100 swim bait. The rod definitely has balls, and here I should note that I'm not the biggest Megabass rod fan out there. I think there is a lot of fluff in their lineup, and for most applications, I'm looking elsewhere for my money. But when it comes to a true moderate fast, moving bait style taper for larger presentations, few companies do it better than Megabass. Okay, final fish catch of this video, and it's a special one. When you find that perfect rod to match a technique you're excited to try, in my case coming late to the game on bigger swim baits and glide baits, it makes you want to do nothing else. It took me a year to put this review together, catching enough fish of sufficient quality to form an opinion on this rod, and the confidence to share it with you guys. Holy shit. And there she is, my PB largemouth. Not the most exciting fight. She bit right beyond the wall of dying grass mats, and I had to grind her in over that slop. Once again, the rod has power to spare. But at a hair over 7 pounds on the 15-pound boga, I never thought I'd see a fish of this caliber in New Jersey, from a public lake fishing from shore. Now, those of you who follow my social are probably sick of these photos, but here it is again. Just a beast of a fish and in perfect condition for the release. Now, is this rod worth the price tag? For me, fishing is what I spend money on, and I've never regretted a nice piece of fishing gear that performs at a high level, catches big fish, and brings me joy on the water. This rod certainly ticks all those boxes. And as I've mentioned in previous review videos, life is short, nice things are nice, and if fishing is your thing, you can do a lot worse than splurge on a rod as special as the Destroyer P5 Mark 56.